Hey folks, it's me again, Pink Jimi Photon. How the hell are you? A while back on Facebook, my buddy Eric Cox tagged me into some contest thing. A company called Killer Guitar Components was trying to find some people to try some brass guitar parts that they make. I expressed disbelief, being a child of the 60s and 70s. Back then you could get all kinds of brass parts. It didn't make any difference really in terms of making things sound better, in my opinion. Brass back then wasn't as high quality, it seemed to kill sustain more than enable it. And I wrote that on their Facebook wall because I am what I am. Dirty mind you got there, I'm telling you, son. So anyways, they asked me, they were looking for somebody to demo their killer brass bridge, but I think they already had somebody to do that. And they offered to send me their killer brass tremolo claw. And I'm like, you gotta be freaking kidding me. I'm like, a tremolo claw out of brass? Like that's gonna make any difference tonally whatsoever to a guitar? Come on, man, you know? I mean, I might have been born at night. Wasn't last night, you know? Hippies getting old. They were like, no, really, we'll send you one. Check it out. And let us know what you think. So they sent me one. It arrived a couple days later. They had it sat around until I got a chance to actually get to it. Real nice, super high quality brass component. It's actually in the back of this guitar right here. I'll try and get it close where you can kind of see it. Yeah, that's it right there. The only thing I didn't like about it was, I mean, for the install, I mean, it took seconds. Took the strap, took the whammy bar like this against my knee, pushed it forward, oops, I blew string. That sucks. I'm never going to remember how to do this so that it's going to be funny enough to be worth doing. But anyways, what had happened was, take a little walk with me. I'm going to get a string, because this is too good of a story not to, like, you know, actually finish. So, now I got to find the freaking string. Welcome to my trusty vestibule. You're now sitting on top of my incredible, amazing hot rod Fender Princeton thing, while I go in my gig bag and look around to try and find a string. I'm sure there's one in here. I mean, there's, you know, I mean, a bag full. Yeah, so anyways, I had gone to express disbelief that something as simple, there we go, as a brass nut would make any difference in the tone of the guitar. They assured me that it would. I didn't believe them. You know, I was like, well, I'll tell you what. I said, you know, it's like, you want to send me one, I'll install it on the cheapest guitar I own, which happens to be this here Pink Squire, which is actually very precious to me. It was a gift from my late wife. Just before she died. I mean, it was meant to really be a wall hanger, because I mean, it was one of them really cheap Squires. The frets were so bad, the ends of them would rip your hands to shreds and stuff, you know. And so I took, like, it's been a few years really since I really messed with it too much, but like, I put a thing called Artec BCU in it a long time ago. It's basically a band control unit. It's for all intents and purposes a wah control, one of the tone controls, and recently put a blade style humbucker in the bridge, because I'm a really, really big fan of Strats with humbuckers. You know, I like the neck pickup on a Strat a lot, but I'm not really super crazy about I played like a lot of like you know, heavier blues oriented rock when I was younger, so I really got used to, you know, that bridge humbucker sound. And so I've just gotten used to them. I mean, almost all my Strats will end up having a humbucker. Sometimes I'll put a rail in, you know, just if it's convenient. I put my glasses on so I can see to pull this chunk of string out here that broke off. Okay. While I'm doing this, I'll show you a stupid guitar trick too. Dog standard, cheap ass guitar string. You can get these from Guitar Center. And support Mitt Romney. There you go. Somebody's got to. Now if I can get the thing, the string has a little bend in the end of it, so I gotta try and get it through the hole. Story of a guitar player's life, trying to get a thing into a hole, right? Jesus. Where's my manners? There we go. Now what you want to do when you're putting a string on any electric guitar, pretty much, and some people will disagree, but I have a method to my madness. Stick the string straight through the hole like this, pull it under itself like that, and over the top. Hook it under your string tree or whatever if you got one. Keep a little tension on it. Start twisting, and basically what happens is the string itself will lock the string itself to the tuner. It's like having a locking tuner. And once it's stretched, you're good. I mean, it's like a couple second proposition and you're done, you know. That's the best way to do strings. A lot of people put a whole bunch of winds on, and when you do that, the problem is that each of those winds has a little bit of slack in it, so every time you stretch your string, bending it, it's going to loosen up a little at the tuner. So the less winds you have there, the better. You may need one or two sometimes on some of the wound strings, if you know, particularly if you retune your guitar different ways or whatever. But the quicker you catch that string against itself, the quicker it's going to stay in tune. So anyways, back to the killer guitar components thing, okay? So anyways, they sent me the thing, and I used the whammy bar, you know, against my knee, just to loosen the springs in the back. I popped them out with a pair of pliers, because I'm really freaking lazy. And I had marked where the original tremolo claw was at. And I put in the killer guitar components claw, which is, you know, this thing right here. They have a no soldering kind of setup where you stick a wire into a thing and crimp it, and then you shrink some plastic around it. I didn't know the plastic was supposed to shrink. I didn't really care for that part myself, but I did stick the wire in and crimp it. I crimped it too hard, broke the damn wire off, which meant that I had to solder it in anyway, which is what I did. But I put the strings, you know, the springs back in place with the whammy bar still depressed. I mean, the whole thing to switch it took me maybe 2 minutes, okay? And the guitar, of course, came back in tune because, you know, it was, I mean, with a Stratocaster, as long as it's floating right, it's always going to come back in tune. And I was amazed, man. It was like the guitar had more shimmer to it than it had. It had better sustain, which I couldn't understand. And the whammy bar worked better than it did before. And I'm a big fan of Fenders. I mean, I hate Floyd Roses. I'm not a fan of Kahlers. I'll take one of my whammy-equipped Strats up against damn near any whammy system I've ever seen, and can keep in tune just as good as they can and do just whatever they can. Don't need no fine tuners. Don't need any of that baloney. Okay. So I put it on this guitar here, and it's been great. I took it out and gigged the night that I put it in. I brought this guitar as a backup. I usually play a red Strat. Put this thing on to check it out. It was like, once it was plugged in, I was really impressed. Played it all night. My nephew, the last song tonight, we were doing the Immigrant Song by Led Zeppelin. And I usually take an extended solo, like, F sharp at the end of it. We're taking out the night with it. But anyways, my nephew Darren Cross, who's like one of the most amazing death metal guitar players I've ever heard. He was on stage at that point, messing with the whammy bar on this thing while I was playing. And I decided to mess with his head. I took my guitar off and I threw it around his neck. And he went sick. I mean, sick on this thing. It took about a 20-minute solo where he beat the living piss out of this guitar. Completely beat the living piss out of it. Finished off the night for me. I thought it was great. At the end, you couldn't even turn it off. I had every effect I had on. They were playing themselves. Just noise being modulated and all this other echo. It was a thing of beauty if you ever liked Jimi Hendrix kind of stuff. Threw the guitar in the gig bag, went home. About a week later, I pulled it out of the freaking case. The guitar was still in tune. I was really surprised. But anyways, this is everything on 10 on the guitar. Through a cheap-ass little T-Power MOSFET practice amp, maybe 10, 12 watts. This thing runs on a 12-volt wall wart. There's like no balls to this thing. About an 8-inch speaker, volume's on about 3, trebles just above half, bass just below, mid-range pegged, because, like I said before, that's just the way I roll. And I got a tone bender spliced in at the moment. I'm like trying to force this thing to go out of tune. Still in tune. When I pull up on it, it stretches it so it doesn't stay in tune. But you can. Stuff like that with the bar. My low E string seems to be going out a little bit. I'm gonna give it some distortion and beat on it and see what happens. Yeah, that's what happens when you got new strings on it. Give it some more distortion and just yank on it for a second. Still pretty much in tune. Some of that has to do with this thing having more stability, I think, in the tremolo system. So the only thing I can say is hats off to Killer Guitar Components. I told them I'd publicly eat crow if I like their product, and I do. Now, if they want to send me a whammy bar, I'd love to try that too, but that I doubt is going to happen. Check them out, killerguitarcomponents.com. There's they have a wide range of parts that'll fit import and domestic guitars, fair prices, you know, and great bunch of guys. So get a chance to check out their website, all right? Jimi Photon. Peace.